Hello, hello everyone. How is everybody today? Hope you are having a wonderful day today. If you need a little bit of brightness, you are in the right place because we're going to be working with some fun bright colors today. We're going to be sculpting an acrylic nail and then adding on not just a solid color. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to use all three of these bright, beautiful colors that we've got, and we're going to create a fun French look. But I am just getting some of my table towels cut up here. I like to cut the table towels so this way when I'm working with my acrylics, I have a smaller piece to wipe my brush on and I don't waste quite so much. So for me, this is just an easy way to work with my acrylic and save some table towels. And this way also I have a nice clean spot to always wipe my brush on. And I'll show you guys this here in just a little bit. But just cutting up a few, and then I'm going to grab my chat here and we will go ahead and get started. So just giving everybody a little bit of extra time to jump in today and get all situated. If you want to work along with me, grab your acrylic powders and monomer. Today we're going to be working with our Cover Pink acrylic. So if you've got your Cover Pink acrylic, go ahead and grab that. We're also going to be working with a couple of our new polishes, and we've got some beautiful bright colors just like you're seeing on my trainer hand here today. And I'll even give you a second option if you want to go a little bit more pastel. I'll show you guys those after a while here. But let me go ahead and pull my chat up, make sure that we can see what you guys are all talking about. And hopefully I can answer some questions. If you've got questions, you can always pop those into the chat as well. If I'm not able to get those answered, we do have a great team of moderators here, so they can try to jump in and answer some questions. You guys, look at all those familiar names in the chat. I love seeing that. I love to see our community joining us here all the time. So welcome in, everybody. And let's go ahead and get started. So I just have one of our trainer nails in here today. We're working with our trainer hand. I absolutely love working with the trainer hand if I don't have a real live client in front of me, because this way I can still practice techniques. I can try out different designs or different applications and just test things out. So if you don't have one of our trainer hands, you're missing out. You guys, I always tell you that. If you don't have all of our products, you're missing out, because we've got a ton of great products. And the colors that I'm going to be working with are three of our new polishes. So if you haven't tried them yet, again, you're missing out. They are absolutely gorgeous polishes. They are bright, they are beautiful, they are very highly pigmented, they're fast drying. So if you haven't tried them yet, try them out. You're going to love them. But let's go ahead and get started with our prep. So we are going to be sculpting out a nail today. I know we've been doing a lot of our full cover tips, but today we are actually going to be building out that nail with acrylic. So we're going to go through our full prep, and I'm going to start by just pushing back the cuticles. The tool that I'm using here is our magic wand, and it's got that cuticle pusher on one side. It's also got a little scraping tool on the other. And then you also have that pinching tool. So if you need to pinch in a C-curve when you are sculpting out your acrylics, you can use that as your pinching tool. So lots of great options with that. I'm actually going to show you one other trick that I use that for in just a little bit here. But let's get through our prep and then I'll show you that other trick. So we're going to go into our electric file, and I'm gonna pop that bit down just a little farther down, and I'm going to be working with our mandrel and sanding band. Here's another use for your magic wand. I'm just going to slide that old sanding band off of there. I'm going to grab a brand new sanding band. Always make sure that you are working with a clean, brand new sanding band so that you have the proper grit to your sanding band, and you also have clean and sanitary tools that you're working with. Now, if you feel like that top edge is a little bit sharp, they do come pre-beveled. So normally I just go right into my filing, but if you do feel like that top edge may be just a little bit sharp, you can use a file. Just tap that edge, just do a quick 1, 2, 3, and that'll soften up that edge a little bit, take off any sharp edges just in case. Let's see. Somebody says, Audrey says, I ordered the newly launched limited edition nail polish box. It's out for delivery. Awesome. You are going to absolutely love that new box, that new case. It is gorgeous. Looks even better in person than it does on the website. So you're going to love that, Audrey. I love that you got that. All right, so we're going to take that medium sanding band. We're going to work right up around our cuticle area. And I've got my speed at about 5,000 RPMs. I would say work at about 3 to 5,000. That way you're not going to have your E-file too high. You're not going to do any damage to the nail. And all I'm doing is just feathering my bit across that nail, just barely making contact. I'm not putting any pressure on my bit, just making contact and just lightly feathering all the way through the surface of that nail. What that's going to do is that's going to break up any surface oils that are there. It's going to give us a little bit of texture to that nail. And then we're going to use our manicure brush. We're going to dust off that nail. Get as much of that dust off of there as you can, but you can see there is a little bit of that really tiny micro kind of dust particles on there. So we do need to clean that off. And to do that, we're going to use our swipe. So swipe is our cleanser. I'm going to pump a little bit of that onto my manicure brush. You could also use this with one of our lint-free wipes and just pump a little bit of that onto the lint-free wipe, and then you can go in and scrub that nail. Personally, I like to use it on the manicure brush because I feel like that way it's one more time over the nail to get all of those last little dust particles off of there and really get that nail nice and clean. You can also get right up underneath that nail, so any of those little dust particles are going to get cleaned off that nail or underneath the nail. Now we are going to let this dry. So you can see it's still got a little bit of moisture on there, so we definitely want to make sure that that nail dries completely, and it's going to go back to a chalky look. So if your nail still looks wet like this, you want to give it just a little bit more time to make sure that it does dry. Now when you are doing a full set, usually by the time you've prepped and cleansed the last nail, by the time you get all the way through that last nail, that first nail is going to be dry and ready to go. So generally you're not going to be waiting a whole long time in between. You're just going to keep moving on to your next step. And our next step is going to be our protein bond. And protein bond is our bonder. This is not a primer, so you kind of have to remember that. It's a non-acid bonder. So the purpose of protein bond is to really work like a double-sided tape. So it's going to stick down to that natural nail, but now you can see wherever I've polished this on, it's going to look sticky, and that's exactly what we want to happen. So it's going to bond to that natural nail, but it's going to leave that sticky surface to bond and grab onto whatever product we put over the top of it. And today we're going to be working with acrylic. So anytime I'm working with acrylics or hard gels, I like to apply 2 coats of my protein bond. And sometimes when I'm working with our tip and jewel adhesive to do full cover tips, I also like to do 2 coats of our protein bond, just to make sure that I've got great adhesion and I'm not going to have any spots that maybe I missed a spot or anything like that. So 2 coats for our protein bond. Now, we are going to be sculpting. So we're going to be working with our forms. And you could put a tip on if you want to put a tip on. Today I'm showing you guys how to use the forms and how to sculpt and build acrylic. So we're going to take one of our forms and I'm just flattening that out a little bit. It was a little bit curved, so I just want to take out that curve. I'm going to peel off my form from the backing. Now I am going to keep that little tab in the center. I know a lot of times people will throw that away or they'll leave it on the paper. Don't throw that away. Put that on the back of your form. Just secure that right down there. That's going to give your form a little bit more durability. Okay, it's going to feel a little bit more firm and it's not going to feel loose or flimsy. And then we're going to take those 2 little silver tabs right at the ends. We're going to pinch those together. And I like to look at my forms from the side when I'm pinching them. I don't look at them like this or from this view. I actually look at it from the side so that I can make sure that those 2 little tabs are coming together nice and evenly. And by getting those together as evenly as I possibly can, that's going to ensure that my form is going to be nice and straight on the nail and it's not going to end up lopsided or crooked. Okay? Next thing I'm going to do, you're going to notice there's a little perforation right down the top part. I'm going to open up that perforation, and that's going to help when I put the form onto the nail. It's just going to make it a little bit easier. It's going to give me a little bit more space to work with. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys this from the side. So when I'm putting my form on, I don't just shove that form right up underneath that nail and hope for the best. What I do instead is I'm going to start at a slight downward angle. I'm going to bring that form right up underneath that natural nail, right up under that free edge, and then I'm going to just lift up until that form is coming straight out from that natural nail. Then I'll secure it down on the sides. Okay, so let me show you guys that from the front view. But I like to show you from the side view just so you can really see exactly how I'm doing that. So again, we're going to start at a slight downward angle. We're going to bring that right up underneath the free edge. We're going to lift up on the end until that comes just nice and straight out. And then I'm going to secure that down along the sides. Now, I want to show you guys something. When I check my forms, I want to make sure that everything is going to be nice and straight. So I actually turn my client's hand around and I will look at the finger from this view. Let me readjust you guys here. So I'm going to look at the form from this view to make sure that it's nice and straight. And I think everything is looking pretty good there. I feel like it's looking a little bit wide right through here. So I'm just going to pinch that form a little bit more underneath there and make that a little bit more narrow. Now, at this point, it does look like my form is kind of going off to the side a little bit. So I'm going to open that up. And I'm just going to adjust that and tilt that back to the right just a little bit. And I know from your guys' view, it probably still looks a little bit crooked, but my camera is a little offset. So from my straight on view, it is looking nice and straight. But how you want to tell if the form is nice and straight is if you take, I'm just going to grab my brush here. You could use a brush or you could use your orange wood stick. But if you line up your orange wood stick, go from the back knuckle all the way through each knuckle and then down through the end of the form. If you line your brush or that handle all the way through there, that form should look nice and straight in line. Okay. If maybe your form is off-centered or maybe if it's tilted to the side, you're going to be able to see that underneath. So just make sure that your form is coming out nice and straight with that whole finger, not just necessarily that nail, because sometimes our nails are crooked. And if we just line it up with the nail, we're going to end up sculpting a crooked nail. So make sure that you have that form on nice and straight. And then let's grab our acrylic. So again, we're going to be working with our Cover Pink acrylic. We're going to be working with our traditional monomer. Now we do have an extreme low odor collection here. So let me show you guys that really quick. I'm going to grab one of my other powders here. Oops. And so our extreme low odor collection has the teal colored label, and we have the extreme low odor liquid, and we have extreme low odor powders. These should make sure that they are used together. You don't want to be working with a combination. So you don't want to be working with, say, the extreme low odor with the teal label and the traditional powders with the pink label. They are not to be mixed and matched. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're working teal label liquid with teal label powders and pink label liquid with pink powders or pink label powders. Okay, so make sure that you're not mixing and matching. But whichever system is going to work best for you, that's what you want to be using. So I have my Dappen dish here. Looks like I have a little bit of monomer in there from the last time I was using it. Here's one more use for that magic wand tool that I was showing you guys. If you take a table towel or one of your lint-free wipes, you always want to make sure that you're starting with a nice clean Dappen dish and clean monomer. So if you've got a little bit of monomer left in there, tuck your table towel in there, soak that up, use that pinching end of your magic wand tool to just grab that table towel that's in there, twist it around so it absorbs everything, and then you can use that tool to take that out. That way you're not going to be getting any monomer on your skin. You want to make sure that you're always keeping product off of your skin to keep yourself safe. Okay? So just another quick little tidbit there for you. And one other little tidbit that is going to make your acrylic life a little easier is when you're pouring your monomer, if you open your monomer up, take your brush, touch the brush to the top of the bottle, And then you can pour that liquid straight down the brush. That's going to go right into your Dappen dish, and it's not going to spill down the edge of your bottle, and it's not going to create a mess anywhere. So it's going to keep everything nice and clean. So all these little tidbits, you guys, all these little tidbits that are going to help you in your acrylic career here. All right, so we've got our acrylic, we've got our our cover pink acrylic, we've got our monomer, and I'm going to grab a few more of those table towels that I cut up at the beginning of our live stream here. Now, when we're working, I'm going to show you a few things that are going to make your acrylic life a little easier. So when we're working, we want to make sure that we're in camera here. Want to make sure that we're working and picking up a good consistency. So as you pick up your product, I'm going to just kind of dab my brush into my liquid a little bit. I'm going to tap off the back side of my brush. Now, depending on how large of a pearl you want, the more liquid you leave in your brush, the larger of a pearl you're going to be able to pick up. So if you want to pick up a large pearl, just tap one time. Then you're going to be able to pick up a lot of powder because you have a lot of liquid in your brush. So you're going to be able to pick up that really nice large pearl. Okay. If you want to pick up maybe a medium pearl, tap the back of it once, twice. So I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. Let me show you one more time, but watch the end of the brush. You're going to be able to see every time I tap that edge of the brush, a little bit of liquid is going to drain out. So every time you tap that brush, it's going to drain liquid out, and you're going to be able to pick up a smaller and smaller pearl. So again, if we want to pick up that large pearl, we just tap once. If we want to pick up a medium pearl, we'll tap twice, and then we'll go into our powder, pick up that powder. We're going to be able to pick up a medium-sized pearl. Now, if we want an even smaller pearl, we're going to tap once, tap twice, tap a third time. You could even tap a fourth time, depending on how small of a pearl you want, and then just coming into your powder. So it depends on your brush how much liquid you leave in there, but then also how much you wipe out to determine if you're going to pick up a small, medium, or large pearl. Okay. Now you guys, the brush that I'm using today, this is our Greg's Signature Series brush. You can see his signature is right on there. It's a number 12, so this is a pretty good sized brush, but because we now know how to dab out that extra liquid, we can pick up those large pearls or small pearls. So it doesn't make a difference too much. If you have too large of a brush, you should always be able to control the consistency and control how much product you pick up by just tapping out that liquid, okay? Now, when we're working on our nail here, we're going to be sculpting our extension on the form. So we're going to start by building out our extension, and we're going to create some nice long nails like we've got down here. Now, when you're building out that extension, let me grab one of our forms here. You want to make sure that your product is not going to run out of control. And so I'm going to show you how to keep it under control. So if we were to pick up our pearl and press into our powder, if we were to just take that pearl and set that right onto our form right away, do you see how fast that pearl moves? Do you see how it's just running? It's kind of getting out of control. I would really have to almost chase it, and now you can see it's starting to gum up and gunk up my brush. So I want to make sure that I have control of my product, but I still have a good consistency to it. So how do we get that? Let me show you. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick up our pearl, and then we're going to bring it to more of a clay-like form. So again, I'm going to tap the back side of my brush. I'm going to press, I'm going to bounce my brush into my powder, and I'm going to take that pearl. Do you see how it's all of that powder has absorbed into that pearl? If I have powder that's all kind of on the outside, you guys, let me over-exaggerate this for you. So if you have a pearl where you've got too much powder on the outside, and it doesn't absorb, you see all that extra powder on there? That's going to be way too dry for what we need it. So we want to make sure that we have enough liquid to where it's absorbing in, but not too much. Okay, so let me show you. So if we were to pick up our pearl, and we're going to press, bounce, bounce, We let all of that powder absorb in. That's going to be a good consistency. Now I'm just going to drain out the extra liquid from my brush just by setting that onto my table towel. That's going to absorb all of that extra liquid. So I don't know if you can even see right there where I pressed my brush down, it absorbed all of that extra liquid. Okay, what that's going to do, that's going to turn our product into more of a clay-like form. So let me show you how it's going to actually work and react on our form here. I'm going to press, bounce, bounce. Again, I'm going to drain out that extra liquid at 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds. And then when I set that onto my form, I'm going to press that down, let go with my brush. Now that product is going to stay where I put it. You're going to see it's going to just soften a little bit. It's just going to kind of relax. At this point, then I can go in and I can mold and move and manipulate that product without it running out of control. And I can bring that product wherever I need it. And again, I have good control of it. Okay, now I want you guys to also see something as I'm working, and I'm going to show you guys this on the actual nail here in just a second. Don't worry. But when you're working, when you're pressing your product onto the nail, you want to use more of, if you kind of take a look at the brush, it's got a little bit of a crimp here. We've got the fat part of the brush and we have the edge of the brush. So when you're pressing your product on the nail, you want to be working with more of that fat part of the brush, that flat part. So you're going to be pressing there. When you're tucking in on the sides, you're going to be using more of the edge of the brush. So you're going to use right in through here. Okay. If you're working on that free edge, you don't want to be poking that free edge. You're going to turn your brush on the side and you're going to press in on that edge. Okay. So again, fat part of the brush to press out, edge of the brush to tuck in on the sides. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start our free edge here. Bring these off to the side a little bit. There we go. So again, we're going to pick up our pearl. Actually, you guys, I'm going to take one of these little table towels off so that we've got a nice clean place to wipe our brush. Always make sure that you do have a nice clean place to wipe your brush so that your brush isn't going to get gunked up and you're always going to be able to keep it nice and clean. Okay. All right. So one more time, we're going to pick up our pearl. I'm going to tap off the back side. We're going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to absorb all that powder. I'm going to drain out 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to press that down onto my form, wipe out my brush just to kind of clean it out a little bit. Then I'm going to use that fat part of my brush to press it out, the edge of my brush to tuck in on the sides, the fat part of my brush to walk up into the corner, the edge of my brush to tuck in on the sides. I'm going to walk my brush all the way across, pressing all the way across, tuck in on the sides. Press that bulk. Actually, I'm going to just clean out my brush here a little bit. Use the edge of my brush to tuck in on the side, press up into that corner, tuck in on the side. Now at this point, I'm going to start to bring that product using a little bit more of the base of the brush, a little bit more pressure on the base, just pressing that all the way down my free edge, tucking in on the sides to keep those sidewalls and those lower arches nice and straight, tucking in, and then I'm going to press all the way across to make sure that everything is nice and even. So I have a nice even thickness all the way across. And I think our free edge is about where we want it. Now, if I need to, I can come in and use the edge of my brush, use the side of my brush to kind of straighten out and clean up that free edge if we're working on a little bit of a coffin shape here. But that free edge is really the last part that I actually will worry about. I'm going to make sure that everything else is nice and straight, nice and even. The free edge, I can always come back in and zip that off with my electric file or my hand file even. So I wouldn't worry too much about that unless you've got plenty of time and you still have time to work with that and taper that in, okay? But make sure that everything else is nice and smooth and even, and then you'll be good. Somebody says, Sheldon says, I can't get it like that. Here's the challenge. You want to make sure that you are following the steps just like I showed you. So if you're trying to get your product to move on the free edge like that, you have to make sure that you're picking up that proper consistency and that you're taking that pearl, you're going to drain that 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to set that onto your form. and then you're going to be able to press that out and mold and manipulate that. Okay, and you guys, we've got a ton of great videos here on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe so that you can see all those videos. We've got videos on perfecting your consistency and all of those different kind of things. So make sure to check out a lot of the rest of our videos that we've got. Okay, we've got a ton of great free education for you. And Biba's asking, do you have tips for working in hot temperatures? Yes, that is actually a great question. So when you're working in colder temperatures, your product is going to tend to flow a lot faster, and it's going to take a lot longer for it to set. Cold is going to slow everything down. Okay, it's going to slow that setting time down. Heat, if you're working in a hot temperature, what's going to happen is it's going to feel like your product is even drier, and it's going to set a lot faster. So you're in hot temperatures, your product is going to run and flow more like this. In cold temperatures, your product is going to run and flow more like this one. Okay, so in those hot temperatures, I would probably work with either the cover powders, or I don't have one on my table here, but the core powders. Our core powders are going to set a little bit slower. So if you need that little bit more workable or working time in your hot temperatures, then I would say work with the core. Okay, I hope that answers your question. And you guys, I know that there's other questions in the chat. Sometimes I'm teaching and I'm not seeing all those questions, so hopefully our moderators are able to answer some of them. But I will try to answer as many questions as I can and as I see. Okay. So at this point, we've got our free edge built out. Now we're going to build the rest of the structure to the nail. So we're going to build our arch and basically do an overlay as to what we have on. Okay. So when we're working at our cuticle area, we don't want to use the same consistency as we use down here on the free edge. At our cuticle area, we want our product to flow. We want it to move a little bit. Okay. So we don't want to be draining out that extra liquid. With this time, we're going to pick up our pearl. I'm going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to allow that product or that powder to absorb until it gets to kind of that pearl look. Now, you guys, I always like to show you guys this. Do you see how this looks nice and smooth and really almost like a pearl? When you first pick up that pearl, it's going to have kind of the texture of, the texture of an orange peel. So if you look really close, you can see it's got that orange peel texture. And then after about 4 to 5 seconds, it's going to go to more of that smooth pearl look. That's the point where you're going to set that onto the nail. What's going to happen is it's going to give that product a little bit of time to polymerize, so it's not going to run out of control, but it's not going to be in that clay-like form. Okay? Now, when we're setting our pearl at our cuticle area, I'm going to show you guys this from the side. You want to make sure that the nail is angled downward. You don't want to be working flat. If you're working flat, what's going to happen is you're going to set that pearl down. That pearl is going to run with gravity and it's going to run down the sides. So let me show you guys exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to show you on a form. But what's going to happen is, let's just take this off here. So if you are setting your pearl down, all right, got enough here. Okay, we're gonna assume that this is our cuticle area up here. Our nail is nice and curved. So if you take your pearl and you're holding that nail flat, okay, you're holding it flat, what's going to happen when you set that pearl at the cuticle area, all of that product is going to start, it's going to start to run down the sides. Okay, we don't want that to happen. We want our cuticle area nice and thin and tapered. We actually want our product to run and flow down the length so that we can do an overlay. So let me show you one more time. And you guys, in the meantime, while I'm getting my form here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, join our community, get free education. Okay, so now instead of holding our nail flat like this, we're going to hold the nail at a slight downward angle. So now when we put our pearl on, we're going to press, bounce, 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 hold that 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when I set that on there, it's going to flow down the length, not down into the sides. So what's going to happen on our actual nail, instead of our product flowing all the way down to the sides here, by holding that finger down, it's going to flow down the length of the nail, and it's going to build our structure. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that pearl on. So again, I'm going to pick up my pearl, press once, press, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like a pearl. I'm going to hold the finger angled downward, set that pearl down. I'm going to press, press, pivot my brush on the side, come back to the center, press, press, pivot my brush on the side. That product is flowing down the length of the nail. I'm going to use the side of my brush, pivot my brush on the side, blend out my sides, and then I'm going to blend out just the edge of that pearl. Okay, now you guys, that happens kind of quickly, and actually the temperature, I know we were just talking about temperature. Temperature in my room here is starting to get a little bit warm, so I have to be cautious and work a little bit quicker. But as I'm working, so as I set that pearl down, I want to show you guys this one more time. I use my brush and I press in the center. So I'll press, press, and then I'll pivot my brush. So I'm turning my brush on the side. So if you look from this direction, press, press, pivot my brush. That's going to help to really tuck in around that cuticle area and keep that nice and thin and tapered. Same thing, I'm going to come back to the center. I'm going to press, press, pivot my brush on the side here to tuck in on that corner. If you just press with your brush flat all the way across, you're going to get a ledge all the way around that cuticle. So one more time, press, press, pivot your brush, press, press, pivot your brush. Okay, then on the sides here, same thing. When you're working over here on the edge and you're brushing forward, you're going to pivot your brush on the side, blending out on the sides. Same thing over here. You're going to pivot your brush, blend out on the side, and then just using the point of your brush, blend out just that edge. We're not trying to blend product all the way from that back cuticle area. We're just trying to blend that pearl right into our free edge. So now if we look at this, we've got the start of our arch to our nail. Okay, we're building up our arch a little bit thicker through that stress area, nice and thin and tapered through our cuticle area. We do need to add a little bit more product right through here. It's very thin. We've got a little bit of a dip in there. So we're going to fill in that space with a little bit more acrylic. Now this pearl, so you guys, when we did that first pearl on the free edge, we drained that pearl out. Our second pearl, we did not drain out. This one, our blender pearl, we're going to do kind of a combination. So I'm going to pick up my pearl. So we're going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. This one, I'm just going to drain for 1, 2. So just a couple of quick seconds. I'm going to turn my brush around, set that pearl down, blend up, pivot my brush, blend up, pivot my brush, blend up. So I'm blending up into that stress area. Then I'm going to turn my brush around, and now I'm going to press that product and allow that to work down towards my free edge. Now, like I mentioned earlier, my room is starting to get a little bit warm. A lot of times if my room is a little bit cooler and my product is flowing a little bit more, a lot of times I'll just angle that finger down and let that product run and flow. But because my room is a little bit warmer, my product is starting to set up. So I wanted to make sure that I did get that product into place. Now, as I'm pressing here, I want you guys to kind of see what I'm doing and why I'm pressing where I'm pressing. So as I was pressing that product down towards my free edge, I was building that arch. I was keeping the majority of my product through here, blending down to the free edge and just thinning and tapering there. When I turn my brush around and blend backwards, that's how I'm going to pull product to that higher point. So wherever you're trying to bring product, that's the direction you're going to be brushing. So again, if I need more product right through my stress area, I would turn my brush around and I would blend back up into that stress area. If I want more product down here at my free edge, I would brush towards my free edge. Okay, so you want to make sure to keep that arch in there. So at this point, now we still have that nice thin and tapered cuticle area. We've got that little bit more of a thicker arch area, and then we've got that nice thin tapered free edge. Okay, so that is the structure that we're trying to create. Once the nail is filed out, you're going to see that we've got that nice flowing arch to our nail. So you guys, I know that at this point, we do need to let that nail set, but you guys know that I love my little swap outs here. So by the magic of the internet, I'm going to swap out. I have a nail that I've already allowed it to dry. It has been filed. So I'm not going to make you guys sit here and basically watch paint dry. So I'm going to take this one off. We're going to swap this one out. And this way I can show you guys how we would finish the nail. Now, if you do need to see all of the filing techniques, we do have some great live, or not, some lives, but we do have some great videos here on our YouTube channel so that you guys can watch all of those and learn how to do your proper filing. But today we're going to skip over that and we're going to go right to our art design. So I'm just cleaning out my brush here real quick. I'm going to close up my liquid and powders, put those away, and then we are going to grab our colors. And give me just 1 second here. So the colors that we're using are some fun bright ones, and I told you I'd give you an option of some pastels. So I'm going to set those off to the side and we'll talk about those in just a little bit. But the colors that we've got today are Hope GPS, we've got Freelance Snack, and we've also got Cactus Pucker. So it's 3 super pretty bright colors. Guys, these are some of our brand new products. If you haven't tried them, I know I tell you this all the time, but if you haven't tried them, you are missing out because they are gorgeous colors. They're very vibrant. They are highly pigmented, so they are going to be beautiful for polishing solid designs or for doing what we're going to do today. And what we're doing today is a fun marbled French. Now, before we actually go into our polish, I want to tell you guys a couple of different options here. So if you're going to use the polishes just as polish and you're going to apply your polish top coat, you guys, again, these are air dry polishes. If you're going to use these just as nail polish, then I would go through and give the nail a quick buff with our 180 sponge buffer. So just go through, buff that nail a little bit so that it's a little bit of a smoother front or smoother surface. But today I'm actually going to I think I'm going to seal these with our conversion top coat. So this is a gel top coat. So when you're doing a gel top coat and you're sealing this with a gel top coat, you want to leave a little bit of that texture, okay? But we are going to cleanse the nail. So just like we did earlier when we were prepping the nail, take a little bit of that swipe and we're going to scrub that nail so the nail is nice and clean. Get all of those last little bits of dust off of there from underneath. Any little fuzzies, we want to make sure that those are off. And then we're going to go back to our protein bond. Now, like I said earlier, you guys, protein bond is our bonder. It works like a double-sided tape. So wherever you want your product to stick, that's where you're going to apply protein bond, okay? So it's just a great extra adhesive. So this time we're going to go all the way through that whole nail, all the way from cuticle to free edge, making sure that you catch those edges, making sure that you catch that free edge all the way down along those sides there, okay? That's going to give you a little bit of extra bond for your polishes and then your gel top coat, okay? All right, you guys, so I'm going to show you really quick here. Let me grab my little ceramic tile. I just want to show you guys how pretty these colors look. I know you can see them on the trainer hand, but I want you guys to see, and I'm going to show you again the pastel option as well. So I'm going to open up all of my colors here. Give you guys one more time to subscribe as I'm opening these. Hit that subscribe button. Show some love in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you are enjoying our live stream today. I love to see those hearts in the chat, so throw those in there if you would. Okay, so we've got our brights. So you guys, you can see one coat of these is going to be very pigmented. Okay, so you got a lot of pigment in these polishes. You've got a lot of great color in them. Okay, so that is our bright colors. Then you guys, I forgot to look at the names for the other ones, but the other ones for the pastels, you're going to see you're still going to get that really bright or that highly pigmented, but we've got a little bit of a softer option. So if you want a bright marble, we can do a bright marble. If you want a little bit more pastel, you can do a little more pastel. And the pastel colors are Me Unicorn. And then we've also got Giggle Palace Yes, I have to giggle when I say that. And our last one is No Lemon, No Melon. This one is like a light pistachio. I absolutely love this color. I think it's so pretty, but we're going to stick with the brights for today. I'm also going to be using this is our new Polish Perfector brush. So again, you guys, if you haven't tried this, if you haven't seen it yet, if you are somebody who's going to be polishing on natural nails, it's going to work amazing for cleaning up your polish around those cuticle areas. And today we're going to be using it to clean up our smile line for our French manicure look. Okay. So again, we've got our bold colors here as more of accent nails. And then on this one, we're going to be doing a French look. Now, I am going to grab a couple more of our table towels. I'm going to grab my onto the next polish remover. So I like to have the polish remover handy because that is going to help with our design today. And let's go ahead and get some colors on here. So this is where it gets fun. You just get to play a little bit. So we're going to take a little bit of each of those colors. Just going to kind of dab those really wherever I want to. Put little dots of that right wherever I want to. And kind of keep in mind that we're going to be creating a French. So start to put dots in kind of where you would have a French manicure. Dot all the way through. And I think we're good there. Now, if you did get a little polish on that brush from maybe another color, just give it a quick wipe on that table towel. And then I'm going to grab my dotting tool and I'm just going to start to just make little swirls in between the colors. And this is going to help to marble and bring those colors together. I'm going to bring some of that up into those corners. Now you guys have to remember that these are a traditional air dry polish. So they are going to start to dry as you're working. So this is something you kind of have to work a little bit quicker on. It's not like a gel polish where you've got all the time in the world to work with it. Okay. So if you need to add a little more color, oops, that may have been a little too much. If you need to add a little more color in there, go ahead and add a few more dots. Marble that in together. And maybe just a little bit more here. All right, I think I'm liking that. Actually, let's see. Rovanota's asking, the pink that I have on my nails, you guys, actually the colors that I've got on my nails are these exact colors. So this is a similar way of how I did my nails. My nails are done in gel. And make sure to subscribe because we may be doing a demo on how I did my own nails a little bit later on. Not today, but a little bit later on. So make sure that you subscribe so that you know when we are going live and you'll see that. But yes, this is similar to what I have on my nails. Now I'm going to take maybe just a little bit of my polish remover. And I want you guys to see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to take a little bit of that polish remover on my brush. So I'm just going to pump a little bit of that up into my brush. And let's come back here. If I feel like I need my color to maybe blend just a little bit more, we'll take a little bit of that polish remover and maybe just kind of tap a few of those little areas. This is going to help to kind of blend out that polish and just get it to maybe just soften a little bit, maybe blend a little bit more. So you can use that polish remover to help just kind of blend those a little bit more if you feel like you need to. If you like how they're working just with the with that dotting tool, go ahead and leave them like that. But sometimes I like a little bit more of a watercolor, and that way this is how you would achieve more of that watercolor. So just adding a little bit of that polish remover in there to kind of get those to blend. Now, is this a perfect French? Nope. At this point, it's absolutely not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the polish perfector brush, and I'm going to use this to clean up that smile line. So again, I'm going to use that polish remover, pump a little bit of it up into that top cup. Or you guys, if you know what, I'm going to actually make life maybe just a little bit easier here. And I am going to grab just a little glass Dappen dish. Clean that out, have a little bit of powder in there. If you need to, if it's easier for you, you can take your polish remover and put a little bit into your Dappen dish. That way you don't have to keep pumping it up into the top of the cup here. So just something a little bit easier. Let me close that back up quick. All right, now at this point, I can use that onto the next polish remover. Let me come in nice and close. Whoops, sorry guys, nice and close here. And I'm going to use my brush. Now, I'm going to turn my brush with the point. So you guys can see it's the brush itself has a little bit of an edge to it, a slant to it. There we go. That's a better view of it. So I'm going to take that point of it and I'm going to use that right in the center. So we're going to basically use this brush as a little eraser. Okay, clean it out as I go. Use that polish remover to just erase that line. And you guys, the longer you let your polish sit, the harder it is going to be to clean up. So if you can do your clean up when your polish is fresh, you guys can see it's really starting to dry a little bit. So if you're able to clean up that smile line while the polish is still fresh, it's going to go a lot quicker, but it is still going to be just fine if it is dry. So you can go through and you can do all of your French on all of your nails if you want to, or you can go through and you can do one at a time and then clean up as you go. Now, the fun part about this though, you guys, is say you have your French on there and maybe you don't love how it turned out. It's just polish. You could take some polish remover, you could wipe that off and you could redo it again. Let's see, Ginger's asking about using acetone on the brushes. You guys, this brush it's a really good quality brush. Yes, I know we talk about not using acetone on your brushes, but this one, the bristles, they're very short and they're very firm. So they're pretty good and they're pretty resistant to that acetone. So yes, I know we always tell you don't use acetone to clean your brushes, but this brush is specifically designed for cleaning up and being used with acetone. So great question. Great question. All right. Do you guys like how this is turning out? Do you want to see me do it one more time? Let me know in the chat. I want to know what you guys think. Or is there anybody here that missed out on our application? Because I want you guys to see this. I want to see you guys have some fun with this. So let me know. Let me know if you want to see it one more time. But what do you think? Do you think that's going to go good with the rest of our set? Okay, let's do again. Okay, let's do again. All right. Guys, I want you guys to see these, and I know sometimes when we just do one nail, it goes so quickly that sometimes you miss it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that polish remover, clean this right off. So again, if you do your nail and like I said, if you don't like it or maybe it just wasn't quite flowing how you wanted it to, go ahead and just wipe it off. And Mitzbit says, does that not take off the protein bond? It does take off the protein bond. So I am going to go through and apply one more coat of protein bond. You guys, I love that you pay attention to these details. I love that you're learning and that you are questioning. So that's awesome. And Sue Turner says, where's the glitter? You guys, let me grab a couple other ones here. I'll show you guys. We do have some other glitter polishes that you can add in. We've got some pink glitter. We've got some blue glitter. These come in, moderators, maybe you can pop that in the chat. I'm not sure. But those come in our, oh shoot, what is it called? It is the beautiful, it looks like a unicorn. It's a unicorn looking case. So the glitter polishes come in that. So don't miss out on that. All right, you guys. So one more time, we'll show you guys this again. So our 3 colors here, we're going to just do a few dabs. I'm going to bring that all the way up into our sides. I think maybe this time I'm going to do some larger dots of our color. And then I'm going to work probably a little bit quicker so I can get all of these colors blended out. A little bit right in between there, filling in space. All right. Ooh, I think I'm liking this one a little bit more too. All right. And again, just kind of bringing those colors together. If you want to marble those a little bit more together, create a little bit more texture, you can just kind of draw little swirls in there, or you can just let them flow a little bit more on their own. Bring them together how they naturally want to come together. All right, you guys, I think I'm liking the second one a little bit more. So yeah, sometimes you just have to play around, try them again. Okay, so at this point, my polish is still a little bit on the wetter side, so I'm going to go in with my cleanup brush here, and we're going to just clean up that smile line right up in there with the point of my brush facing downward. Load that brush up with our polish remover and just swipe upward to clean up that smile line. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. Actually, I think I might need a little bit more pink up in this corner here, just to make sure it goes all the way up in there. And I'll blend that in just a little bit. Okay, I like that. Same thing using that brush. I'm going to use the point of my brush, sweeping that down. And you can make your smile line as extreme as you want it. If you want it to come a little bit farther down, make it a little bit more smiley. Or if you maybe have a shorter nail that you're working on, maybe you don't want that smile line quite so extreme. But just cleaning up that smile line. If it helps, you can also use a little bit more of that edge of the brush. So just using that brush basically straight up and down to really crisp up that smile line. So there's a lot of different ways and a lot of different positions you can hold this brush to get it to do and clean up what you need it to clean up. So just kind of figuring out what's going to work best for you to get that proper smile line how you want it. Okay. I think we're looking good here. I feel like I just need a little bit more right from the edge. And you guys, smile lines have always been kind of one of my nemesis, if you will, because to me they have to be very crisp and very sharp, and I tend to get a little bit shaky from time to time. You'll see that I'm really putting a lot of pressure with my fingers and balancing here. That's what's going to help me to keep my hands stable as I am cleaning up my polish line here. Now, the other thing for me is don't drink a lot of coffee. So if I drank a lot of coffee, which I did have coffee today, I tend to get a little bit shaky. So do the best that you can, but using this little corrector brush here is really going to help you to get those really nice crisp smile lines and really be able to clean those up well. Now, at this point also, I am allowing my product to dry a little bit. Now, again, if you were going to be using just the regular air dry top coat, you could go through and you could top coat this and give it a chance to dry. The polish that we've got on here doesn't have to be 100% set in order to apply your regular air dry top coat. It does, you kind of want it to be a little bit dry to the touch. You can see I have a little bit of, that product is still a little bit tacky. So if I were going to be applying my regular top coat, it probably would be fine to just polish over this one as it is now. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to top coat with our conversion top coat. And the conversion top coat is a gel top coat. And I know a lot of people prefer to use a gel top coat to finish their designs, because that way your client can walk out of the salon without denting them or smudging them or anything like that. So that's why I'm going to be using our conversion top coat. But with that, we do want to make sure that the nails are pretty dry. So if you're going to be working on a full set, you want to make sure that you're going through allowing everything to dry completely all the way through so that it's dry to the touch and it's not going to be sticky, or you're not going to be smudging or smearing polish anymore. Okay, so it is important, if you are using that conversion top coat, to really make sure that that nail is dry. And I think somebody says, do you need to add more protein bond right through here because we were using that polish remover? And you could, if you felt like maybe you took a little bit too much off. But honestly, when you're putting that, that gel top coat on, it really needs to make sure that it's going to adhere all the way around the edges rather than focusing so much right in that center area. So you could put another coat of that protein bond on if you wanted to, but I would say you don't have to, just kind of as a little option. And you guys, usually we put the protein bond on for added insurance, but your product is probably going to adhere just fine, but it's just for that little extra insurance. So yeah. Now, if I did get any product around the skin, around the sides, on the cuticle area here, I could come through again with that cleanup brush, touching right through those edges. And you guys, this is how you're going to get those really nice crisp edges, even if you're working up around that cuticle area. This little brush, I don't know if you can see, it's so skinny, it's so narrow on that edge. You can get right up into those cuticle areas and get those perfectly clean all the way around, so you get that really perfect cuticle area look. Okay? Now, at this point, I am starting to see that my polish looks a little bit textured, and I don't know if you guys can see on camera or not. Yeah, you kind of can, but it looks like it has a little bit of texture. That's a good indication that your product is set. So at this point, I can feel that it's set. It doesn't have that sticky finish to it anymore. It's not sticking to my finger. I don't recommend doing that, but you guys, I just wanted to show you that. But once you do start to see that slight texture, that's a good indication that your product is set and you can go ahead and put your top coat on. So let's go ahead, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and then we'll go ahead and start our top coat chant in the chat. If you are new to our community, again, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But then our top coat chant is just typing in top coat, top coat, top coat into the chat. And that's kind of our fun way of finishing our nail. So as you guys are going to do that, I am going to polish on a coat of my conversion top coat. And then we'll get this into the light to cure. Now, as I'm polishing, I'm really making sure that I'm sealing all the way around my edges and all the way around that free edge to really make sure I'm sealing that polish in. We're going to get this into the light. Now, because we're using a gel polish that has a, well, let me go back. So when we're using the conversion top coat, this does need a full 60 seconds to cure in the light. So you want to make sure to cure that full 60 seconds. I am going to give that a full 60 seconds in there to make sure that that it is cured. And then I'm going to show you how to cleanse that, because once this top coat does come out of the light, it does have a tacky finish to it. So we're going to use our Manicure cleanser to clean that off. So I'll show you that in just a second here, but I did want to show you one more time the pastel colors you can use. And again, I've got those on our little palette. So we've got the brights that I used here today. And then we've also got those pastel colors if you like a little bit of a different option. And just so you can see, let me grab a couple more of our sparkles here. So we do have some glitter options for you guys if you are looking for some glitters. So let me just swatch out a few of these really quick. We've got our purple. We've got our blue. You guys, I know you love the sparkles as I do. So I want to show you guys this. A little bit of silver. This one actually has just a slight purplish tint to it, kind of a glow to it. So we've got that. We've got our pink. And we've got gold. And again, moderators, if you can, I'm not sure. Now I'm questioning myself. I think these come in the case, and I think they are possibly a limited edition. But moderators, if you can maybe confirm, I would appreciate that. But don't miss out on these glitters, you guys. They are absolutely gorgeous. You can use them by themselves. I'm telling you, camera does not do these justice. They are so pretty. They're so sparkly. They can, like I was saying, they can be used by themselves. They can be used over another color. Use it over black, you guys. They will absolutely glow if you want more of that deep, kind of a deeper look. But absolutely gorgeous colors. The pastel colors that we had were Me Unicorn, Giggle Palace, and No Lemon No Melon. And the colors that we used on our nail today are Cactus Pucker, Freelance Snack, and Hope GPS. And our nail is fully cured out now. So let's take a look here. So our nail is fully cured out, but it does still have that tacky finish to it. So I'm going to grab our Manicure cleanser, pump a little bit of that onto our wipe, and we're going to cleanse that surface, making sure everything is nice and clean. And then you always want to finish your nails with cuticle oil. Now, you guys, I'm not going to put our cuticle oil on our trainer hand here because she's not going to absorb it in. But you probably noticed that my cuticles are looking a little dry after I've been working here. So I'm going to use our new cuticle oil pen, and I am going to just apply a little bit of that to each of my cuticles. And this is always something you want to do to finish your service, whether it's on yourself, whether it's on your clients. Always finish with that cuticle oil to really help to rehydrate and keep those cuticles nice and healthy, keep the natural nails nice and healthy, keep everything nice and flexible, and you're going to get longer wear and beautiful cuticles, beautiful nails. And make sure that you are using the cuticle oil and that your clients are using that cuticle oil several times a day. So that is our cuticle oil pen, nice and handy, nice and quick and easy to use. And then we've got, I know I told you I wasn't going to put our cuticle oil on the nails, but just to make them a little extra shiny, we've got our beautiful marbled French. So you guys hopefully had some fun today, enjoyed our lesson today. If you did, if you enjoyed our class today, make sure to hit that subscribe button, set your notifications so that you can join us again when we go live the next time. We're usually live here on YouTube about 3 times a week, so make sure to join us next time. Somebody's asking, what is the color, what color is the light pink on my nails? The light pink that I have on mine is called Ballerino. And yes, so you guys, again, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you had some fun today. We will see you guys back next time. Thanks, everybody.